Yeah.
XP.
Yes, you could do that.
What did you say? Like total runtime playing with Catwoman is like?
Oh, with Catwoman, that's maybe an hour and a half or something like that.
Okay, like throughout the full game, these 4 sequences. But this is the thing that you're getting the code for new in the box with the game. Where if you don't have that, those sequences are just gone.
Missing, which is crazy because there's it's really only kind of one scene, and I didn't see how it plays out without Catwoman, so I can't really speak to that stuff. But but I can kind of guess how it would play out. But it's the stuff where Catwoman is basically helping Batman out of a bind. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing the stuff leading up to that and seeing the motivations there, like the story payoff is better than any of the gameplay stuff. And that's kind of unfortunate. And it's weird because it actually is a download, at least on 360. Like entering that code, it's not on the disc. It's like so. I had to then sit there and wait for 300 megs of stuff to download before I could start playing Batman, which is like lame.
Right.
Yeah.
That's weird. That would be the thing I would expect to be your on disc thing.
Yeah. Right. It's weird.
It makes me question how that wound up all happening.
It's also because they just haven't communicated. Like I think a lot of the backlash is because they haven't communicated that this was going to be like an optional thing.
Yeah,
like, I think
instead it was like the big reveal is like you can play as Catwoman, right? And all that stuff. And
like if they had said up front, we're going to add a Catwoman. It's going to be our online pass. It's going to be like the reason it's the bait and switch that pisses people off.
Well,
and it's not that like if this had been part of the message with the game for a while, that putting Catwoman weaving into the story, but it's also our online pass, and this had been E3.
Yeah,
no one would care. But it's because a week before, Catwoman's a big part of the game, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, it's part of our anti-used game policy. People everyone's going to buy the new version anyway. It's because people feel burned that this is happening a week before the game comes out, and it's just, by the way, no big deal. And also, apparently, GameStop is just printing versions of the codes and putting them in the used copies, which is like a policy they do with some games.
Weird. They must just have to work that out.
They work that out with the publisher. Yeah. But so even if you buy a used copy, I don't know how long that goes on for, but it will come with a unique code inside the used game box.
That is like. That is maybe one of the most fucked up things ever.
Because if the publisher is creating this system in the first place, ostensibly to stop used game sales, then turning around and cutting a deal with GameStop to
this is hurting our used game sales. We can't do that, and people aren't buying it used.
Well,
and be
they must be taking a lump sum from GameStop.
Exactly. GameStop is obviously paying for it and making it make sense for them. But at some point, it's like, why don't we just agree to do away with it?
It sounds like one of the most atrocious things I've heard come out of this industry. I've heard a lot of atrocious things come out of this industry. That makes you really upset.
Because that's the weird way of getting
paying your way out of, like, this is hurting our sales in this one department. Please stop doing this. Okay, let's make this side room deal that's basically like...
But if the side room deal is GameStop kicks down money to publishers for their used game sales and leaves us out of it...
That's what everyone wants to happen. It's just that GameStop says, look, we pay you, rather than it being these weird code nonsense, like, just every used game sale, a portion goes to the publisher.
Right.
And then we don't have to deal with the bullshit. Like, if they would just work it out, this is a weird way of them working it out with also having the bullshit layered on top.
Oh, the whole thing just is...
Yeah.
It's backwards.
So funky.
It's backwards, but is not as malevolent as you probably think it is. Like, the whole problem is a publisher not realizing any profit from sales of used games.
No, I understand.
So in this fashion,
and the problem is, like, should they?
I understand the symptom of the disease, but, like, basically trying to backslide this stuff into used game copies seems ridiculous to me. I
don't know. Is it my problem your games are so expensive and you charge $60 for them? Not really. Like, that's the nature of the industry. Like, I have trouble feeling bad from a consumer angle, but I wish they would just figure it out behind the scenes rather than making everyone jump through all these hoops.
Or, just like jump to the end game and include go the CD key route, go the PC game route, and just like, here's your key. If you want to play the game, enter the key. Done.
Well, I mean, that is currently that's not possible on the existing consoles.
Right.
The infrastructure is not there.
Yeah.
Well,
arguably online passes just CD keys?
Arguably it is. Well, you're talking about Steam style, just straight up, you buy this game, you have it.
You still have discs. I'm not saying do the download part. I am saying they should do the download part of it, but let's be reasonable. We're not there yet.
Well, I mean, what we're talking about is divorcing a license to play the game from the physical object that is the game.
Sure.
Right.
And
PC owners have gotten used to this over the years. Yeah. It's just been an ongoing It's been the ongoing fight against piracy.
Right.
This is just evolved out of code wheels and all that stuff.
I mean, it's what is becoming the old argument about games as goods versus games as services.
Yeah.
I just think
nobody's figured it out yet.
I think it's one of those things that it makes me so annoyed because I feel like the brick and mortar style stores are the biggest roadblock to getting an all digital. I'm sure there's a lot of lobbying for them to not go all digital on distribution. There will be lobbying when it finally happens. There will be still pre-order bonuses from specific stores that get you into those brick and mortar stores, and to see them basically finding this backdoor to get around this code stuff just makes me feel like, fuck, man, somebody's hands are in somebody's pockets, and like we just
follow the money,
direct it to consumers, and let's get rid of all the pre-order bonuses, these codes, whatever. Just let me buy this game direct.
I want to give you money.
Well, dude, pre-order
Why you
bonuses
gotta make
are
this
not
so
limited
complicated?
to physical establishments. I mean,
But
Amazon has its own.
It's
pre-order
basically where
bonus.
they started. I mean, so like now they have become like an incentive to shop. Now that there are digital distribution places like Amazon, or even just I'll buy it online. But it's where it started.
But they're not going to go away even when everything goes all online.
No.
It's still an incentive to buy your game from store Y instead of store Z.
And also to put the money down before the game's out.
Yeah.
Right, but give me the option to just download the game digitally so that I can vote with my dollar of where I want to get this game, and then we'll be done. We'll dry up the need for brick and mortar stores. I can go buy Guitar Hero there if I want to, but I don't need to pre-order because it's a digital distribution model, and the game the servers will be crowded. But then we'll introduce preloading on them at some time. I'm just. All these fucking vaudeville hoops and circuses to get me into a store.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, there is a good business reason they're still prioritizing brick and mortar sales
Because of holidays, because of the mainstream.
Where a gigantic bulk of sales occur.
There's still a meaningful number of consoles that aren't even connected to the internet.
yeah, I'm not saying that it's a smart business decision. My personal take on it is that it is starting to turn into like a 3-ring circus for like trying to get
Absolutely.
people's attention.
It's at a point now where even if you're trying to just navigate and figure out like, how do I get this special thing? Because when they put out the information about it, it's like, here's all these extra Batmans we made.
They put out a guide for that.
Yeah.
They wrote a guide. One of the highest traffic. One of the highest traffic stories we put up in the news was Alex's write-up about where do you get all the crap for Arkham City? Like the fact that that's something I have to do.
It's obscene.
And from region to region, and
But keep in mind, you can't use any of those skins until after you've beat the game.
Wait,
which is another thing.
Even if you have one?
Yes.
What?
Batman skins. Your first time through the story, you will play as Batman. If you want to play as any other Batmen, you are relegated to the challenge rooms, or you have to beat the game first.
Wow!
And then you can pick whatever Batman you like.
That makes more sense now, knowing that they're going to sell all those as DLC after the fact.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that I did not pay for the $100 collector's edition.
Yeah.
To get my Batman.
I don't
Was
know.
that the Frank Miller one?
Something about that code just burns me up. Is it something like you tell me that you're including this code so that we could stem use sales,
and then
tell me that
channel around?
Well, that's not actually true. You can still buy the game.
But they paid us a bunch of money, so
Right.
It's the same net. You're right. It's absurd that we are going through this whole process.
It's absurd, but it's not offensive.
But
it's offensive to me.
Why?
Because it's like you're basically saying like, I'm going to give you a speeding ticket if you speed, or you can just pay the cops to speed.
This is the step towards getting rid of those codes. Again.
I would pay the cops to speed.
Every time. This is like the first step. This is towards getting rid of those things. Is
this first step towards disarmament?
Is okay. We introduced this thing that started devaluing the used game sales some. So now GameStop has to give them a little juice. That's all they wanted.
They
was
put
a little
GameStop
juice.
to the decision of like, are they gonna pony up to make something like this happen, or
right? But it may be the first step to holding game or a reseller accountable, or it could just be another step in inconveniencing the consumer while they figure out how to both make money.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. They're going to inconvenience the consumer because the consumers will buy the games regardless,
right?
Because they want to play the game.
So yes, maybe it is a step in that direction, but it looks like to me, hey, we added another thing for the consumer to have to worry about while we figure out how to connect with each other to make money.
It's a shitty situation, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. Absolutely,
Just
you're
buy
right.
new games. You do already. So it's like what.
No, I just
I understand philosophically, but practically, you're going to go buy $60 Batman. You are always going to buy $60 Batman.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
And used guys were going to get a cheaper price on the game because they're buying it used anyway.
But I buy it only not as cheap now because I'm sure that whatever money GameStop is paying to Warner to make this a reality ends up.
Well,
so here's what happens.
Not necessarily because the margins on used sales are so enormous. They might be willing to take a small hit on
because the games end up being about. For the first couple month or so, it's $5 less.
Yeah, there's nowhere else for them to go.
They're taking the game at about $40 for the first month, then they're selling it at $55. You can imagine whatever they're paying off to Warner, they're still making a pretty crazy margin on those games.
Yeah. And here's what happens when I buy a new Batman. So I buy a new Batman. I got to figure out where I'm going to buy a new Batman from because there are 7 different pre-order.
Now you were just going to buy it from Amazon.
I was always going to buy it from Amazon
because they just sent it to you.
And then also Amazon gives me my $20 for buying games from them.
I paid
you know what, $20, way fucking better than any Batman skin.
Right.
I don't care what pre-order bonus you got lined up.
But to prove my point, you have all these different options if you're going to buy a new Batman. What you're going to get with it. Then I've got to open up Batman. I have to enter a code in to get content because I'm a new owner that I have to put a stupid code in.
Almost like buying a PC game.
And then the content...
Almost, but not anymore.
And then it downloads.
And then it downloads. Whereas if the system weren't in place, I would buy the same Batman that everybody else is buying for $60, put the game in on day one, and just be ready to play. So that is an inconvenience for the users, and I do think it's only going to get worse before it gets better as they kind of split up and figure out how to transact these things that are slowly becoming less of an on-disc and just kind of hey, we include it in the game, and more of a hey, we're going to sell you this piece. We're going to sell you the game piecemeal from 7 different stores. You put the puzzle together, and someday you'll have the full Batman experience. It's just weird.
Sounds like Skylanders.
Yeah.
Sounds like microtransactions. Sounds like
we're going to get Chop Chop,
games.
and then Chop Chop comes with a code.
I don't know. But then that part doesn't even bother me as much as somebody then being like, well, we're just going to put the codes in the used games.
Right.
And it's like, will you introduce a
wait a
system
minute.
to stop that?
Wait a minute. This was supposed to stop you specifically from doing this.
Well,
you were the single biggest offender.
No, it doesn't apply to us.
But that's them just that's GameStop blinking to me. That's them going oh shit, this is actually cutting into our sales. We have to do something to... but at the same time, they're staving off the inevitable.
But I have to imagine that they make a bulk deal with whomever's giving them the codes, whatever publisher it is, to be like, it is worth more to us to buy these codes, print them out, insert it, than to reduce the price of the game by X amount, or to include a gift card for Xbox Live or whatever in there. Yeah. So they obviously are not making the full money off of. They're getting a bulk rate on some codes. I have to imagine. Yeah. So it's not like the $10 or whatever you'd have to pay to do it.
But on the business side, everybody wins.
Maybe. I don't know what the deal is. Who knows?
Assumingly.
Who knows? Who knows?
I bet they have pretty good projections on how many, what percentage of used sales they would actually get someone to buy the code.
To get with the code?
With the conversion rate is.
I'm saying what the conversion rate is on used sales to
online passes. Who goes and gives them the $10?
Yeah.
And
I bet that's probably low enough.
Or maybe they're just buying those codes, they're putting them in the used box sales, and they're saying this is as good as new. We're going to charge you the full price for it.
Well, they don't do that. But they knock
off
$5.
They come close.
Yeah, they're pretty close.
$5 is basically you're buying.
But I've seen them,
especially at the rate that game prices crash these days, off of $60.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to give me the full price for that game if I include the code when I sell it back to them used?
No,
come on,
$40.
Why not?
Quit being a child on
not
that
being
one.
A child.
On that point of how this works.
I do, and I think they take advantage of people. I think this is them continuing to take advantage of consumers.
I think Vinny has a point in that you see this play out over and over again, where because gamers just want to play games, they are willing to put up with a lot of bullshit because at the end of the day they do just want to play the games. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be incensed over how you're treated as a result of just wanting to play some games.
I think they take advantage of a disenfranchised population, which is a bunch of kids and a bunch of people who just, like Patrick said, just want to get their hands on games that don't really feel like they have a voice. Mm-hmm. And I think they exploit that. And I think this just seems like a really weird workaround or a really weird wrench to throw into the whole thing. It's a fat cat.
It feels like backroom.
Yes.
It's gerrymandering.
Some kind of
moving the districts around.
Some kind of weird tax loophole.
They're moving the districts around to get the codes. Follow the money.
I don't like it.
Prohibition against online passes.
Anyway, do you run the Batmobile?
No.
forget it. Cancel my pre-orders.
Well, that is that is one of the pre-orders.
The
Yeah, you
Batmobile.
play as the Batmobile. Yeah.
It's,
just,
it's a different skin.
Spider's Mega Mix
Get my
style.
Batmobile skin.
I just want to point out that if this inflation calculator is to be believed, you know what? Actually, hang on. I punched in $50. Considering that the price of games has only gone up $10 in the last 25 years.
Well, I don't know about that. I paid like $80 for a lot of N64
Well,
games.
Strider.
Accepting
Genesis.
a few outliers, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Phantasy Star 4 was $100, but whatever. $60 now and $1986, $29.57. So
I'm still confused.
there's a little perspective for
Saying
you.
$60 might as well be $0.
I'm not saying that.
All games are free.
I'm just saying that
Every
as
game
much-
is
every
free to
game is
play.
free.
As much as development costs have ballooned from one generation to the next, like I'm shocked that prices on games have not gone up more.
Well, that's a different conversation. I mean, I'll pay $80 for the game. I will not pay. I don't want to give that money directly to GameStop.
Sure.
I mean, I think
Well, if
I think
buying
people should
games-
get paid what they
If
deserve.
you're buying games new, you're not, because the margins on new games are shit. So
So even if you bought them from them,
they're
that's
making
not what keeps them.
they're making next to
in business.
nothing on a new game.
Oh, yeah.
So-
I mean, whatever.
In fact,
It's Super Nintendo cartridge cleaning kits
You really-
that keep them in business.
if you really want to take it to GameStop and
Right.
buy all your games new from them.
and just
They
drain
hate
their
that.
coffers.
They hate. No, I mean, I'm sure they make.
Go in there and say, no, I don't want the disc protection. No, I don't want the guide. No, I don't want to pre-order anything.
But I'm going to take
sure-
up a lot of time online.
They do
so
make
that
a
I
little
use up
profit
your
on this stuff.
employees' time, so
Right.
that you can't make sales while I'm there.
You're saying we should occupy GameStop.
That's right. Be there.
All right, let's move on out of this Batman. Oh, actually, so I guess one other question I had was,
Yes, it's very good. Thanks for asking.
yeah, is it any good?
It's great. Just play it.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move on.
No, it's good. No.